YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here with an Empire versus Bretonia match. This was submitted by by a viewer. And of course, he's playing as the Empire because it's colored yellow. Bretonia's over here with two Knights of the Realm on this flank. Looks like a Grail Knight on this side that just took a nasty shot from the steam tank. Bretonia looks to have a lot of infantry. Spearmen at arms in the center. A couple of men at arms with pole arms. 4 archers. Leon Kerr. 2 paladins. They have healing potions, of course. There's 2 flying Empire captains, also sporting a healing potion, but there's an Amber Wizard supporting Karl Franz. Interesting. Is it better to pick Karl Franz because of the higher weapon damage and stuff, or is it better to go with the General of the Empire and the healing potion? I mean, personally, I would lean towards the General and the healing potion, but what do you all think? Curious to bounce that one off you. Got a Royal Altdorf Griffite hidden in the woods here, and then just a little bit of spear contingent to face off against Bretonia. Let's watch the steam tank. Now remember, I did some tests and did find out that the steam tank does pretty decently versus Knights of the Realm, especially if he gets to shoot them with its cannon. With a Manticore spawned, since Bretonia only came with the Paladins and Leon Kerr, they really don't own the skies at this moment. The Empire Captains will be a close match for the Paladins, and then if Franz gangs up on Leon Kerr with the Amber Wizard and the Manticore, it'll be a pretty easy fight to win for Empire. However, Empire doesn't have any foot skirmishers, and Bretonia does. So engaging Leon Kerr too close to his own lines could be dangerous. The 2 Empire captains rolling in here, they better roll back out because they're about to get pegged by a heck of a lot of archers. We'll just kind of see how this turns out. Steam tank still harassing, firing at Grail Knights, doing a great job actually. This is the kind of target that I would put the steam tank on. Would either be Giants or Grail Knights, or I'd say this, Giants, let's say it more generally, Monsters and Cavalry. Going to be a good target for the steam tank's main cannon. Wow. It is wrecking these Grail Knights. It's already gotten about 600, 700 gold worth of damage there, maybe more. Alright. So the Bretonia Air Corps is leading its army just a little bit, but still well within the protective range of these peasant bowmen, and they could easily swing that air fight. So Empire would do best to just kind of be patient. More shots coming. Oh, look at that. The Grail Knights get caught by a Royal Altdorf Griffite on the charge. They're going to get wrecked because of the damage that came with the steam tank. Looks like we got 2 Empire captains teaming up here. Manticore coming in to tie down Leon Kerr. Yeah, engaged very close to the Bretonian missile support here, but the missile support actually comes just a little bit too far forward. Looks like they are getting turned around and attempting to fire up into this Empire force, but here comes the steam tank actually rolling in to try and disrupt the missiles. So it is an all-out aerial brawl here with 2 Empire captains, 2 paladins, 2 griffins, and a hippogriff, and a feral manticore, which is right here as well. So it's going to be a nasty fight. Doomflock coming in, which is not a bad pick at all. It'll take some damage down here on the... it looks like the Paladins are getting overwhelmed. Leon Kerr is not doing so hot himself. One of the Paladins is fleeing, being chased by a pretty fair number of men, and then Leon Kerr is about to eat it too, so this is big trouble for Bretonia. Whenever you have like an all-peasant faction, losing your leadership units is going to be a big problem. So as you can see, this is another reason why I would say the Empire is better than Bretonia. Some people almost kind of acted like they felt like Bretonia was better because of the Air Force, but that's the thing, is the Empire really can field a better Air Force than the Bretonians can. And you can see here it's because of the Amber Wizard. Karl Franz, again, I don't know about the question of Karl Franz versus the General of the Empire. Obviously, there's a stat difference there. We'll go take a look at it afterwards. But Franz comes with some special abilities. I don't see any of those in play at the moment. Actually, they may be. Yeah, Galmaraz, never mind. So he's got 1 in play. Helps him do a little extra armor piercing. The steam tank is just wrecking the morale of these Bretonian units because they're not supported anymore by a leadership unit. And so you can see at this point there is no chance. Nice rear charge here, though, by a Knights of the Realm. But it's a ton of spearmen, so they'll do their damage on the charge. And that damage will be pretty significant, but then they'll start to die. Spearmen over here chasing away a Knights of the Realm that got tied down, the Altdorf Griffites. As the steam tank terrorizes these units, the Altdorf Griffites should be used to chase down the units that suffer from terror. Right now they're standing still and taking a thrashing from these peasant bows. They better get out of there. I love the steam gun on the tank. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, if you're able to get rid of the leaders of Bretonia, a steam tank is an absolutely brutal unit. And it can be, obviously you saw here, it can be a decent choice in the sense that it can shoot Bretonian cavalry and then scare the living crap out of their infantry, which is very useful. Very useful, because Bretonia can only field peasant infantry. And you can see the effect that it's having here, so they get absolutely mopped up. So for some of you wondering kind of like what would be a counter to some of the air spam that Bretonia brings, that is one potential way to counter it. However, do keep in mind the Bretonian player did not bring any Pegasus Knights. Pegasus Knights up in that air fight definitely can make a difference, especially if they're able to help gang up on key units. So again, 2 Pegasus Knights, 2 Paladins, and Leon Kerr are still going to put up a pretty significant fight in that type of role. So it's not like it's easy, but then that just means Bretonia had to spend more money on the Pegasus Knights, and that's now 2,400. They couldn't spend on infantry or missiles or something else, cavalry. And, you know, again, the Empire is still definitely very capable. Empire could also field a Light Wizard if they wanted to really be mean in that scenario. But in this case, obviously, they saved all the money for the Steam Tank. And the Steam Tank really wasn't a bad pick. Hope you all enjoyed that one. It was definitely an interesting one. I do want to show you one more replay that's unrelated to Bretonia, but someone sent it in. And I thought it was a pretty cool battle. So a while back, I told you that Chaos was the crappiest faction in the game. And I haven't changed my mind on that. But this was pretty cool battle that was submitted to me. This is going to be a battle between Wazg, or whatever it is, and Pokapax. And I know both of these players are pretty good. I want to say I've seen both of them in a decent position on the leaderboard, which means they're out there getting a number of victories. So the Chaos army here is a mix of Marauders and Forsaken up front, and it's 6 Forsaken. Like I said, it's mixed in with Marauders, a Fire Sorcerer on the Chaos Dragon. I guess at least it makes this guy a little more survivable. My only question this would be is you are going against the Empire. What would you have done had the Empire brought, like, Karl Franz or something? I mean, there would have been no way to save your Fire Sorcerer because none of these units have any missiles. Like, he would have been completely on his own up in the air. And it would have been pretty rough. Look at the Giant there. Got clobbered by cannon. Let's go look at the Empire army. There's, I believe, 4 Great Swords and 4 regular swords, a Bright Wizard, and then an Archlector. Interesting choice. The Archlector is going to support the morale of units and really keep them in the fight beyond where they would normally go. Very cool looking unit, by the way, too. It's basically like a doped up warrior priest here. You can see he's got a pretty sweet Warhammer. Definitely a cool looking unit model. Yeah, the Bright Wizard's pretty cool looking unit model as well. There's 2 Demigryph Knights with halberds. And then you've got these great cannons. It is fairly common for Chaos players to try and bring cavalry now, so I do understand the pick of the Demigryph Knights with halberds. These guys are still pretty good against infantry too, so a pretty safe pick for the same cost. Great cannons are firing away at the Chaos Sorcerer. Now the Chaos Sorcerer is going to be able to do some damage to kind of standard units, and he'll be able to do good charge damage to heroes, but he's not going to be able to kind of just go toe-to-toe with other hero units real well. Best to cycle around, and obviously need to stay away from these handgunners. Now this is an interesting thing though. This whole Empire army, only 1 unit of skirmishers, foot skirmishers brought, and then the great cannon. The foot skirmishers are good, and they can help counter monsters, but Chaos has brought 3 giants. This is going to make it very, very difficult for the handguns and the cannons, because these giants easily have the mass to just bust their way through infantry and get to those skirmishers. Check out the disgusting warts on this guy's butt, like pus-filled warts. That's perfect. It's perfectly disgusting. Anyway, you can see the cannons are very good at shutting down a giant. But this isn't a single giant. There's 3 of them. And then you can see how the Marauders and everything, ooh, nasty charge into the Forsaken by the Demigryph Knights with halberds. I don't know if it'll be worth it in the end for them or not, because they're going to take quite a bit of damage getting away from there. But, I mean, they got 9 kills there real quick. It was okay. It wasn't spectacular. Anyway, you can see the Chaos units are all going to be basically tanking the same pool of hit points because he's got them all blobbed together. And that's an interesting combination, to blob the hit points of the Marauders to try and make the Forsaken maybe more sustainable against Empire units, because typically the Forsaken are going to get torn apart by great swords. But I like this. It combines a lot of damage with a little bit of extra hit points from the Marauders. So you can see the charge here. Here comes the Swordsman. The Empire player is going to use their swordsmen to tank out the initial charges and damage, and then keep their great swords in reserve to try and protect. The handgunners are going to work on the giant. They're doing a lot of work, and the cannon is also doing good work against the giants. You can see it's causing damage. Here comes the Chaos Sorcerer. You can see the Bright Wizard cascading Fire Cloak into the men, also Flaming Sword of Ruin. You can see the Chaos Sorcerer, though, comes down right on top of the handgunners. The Archlector goes into combat to support the infantry. And you can see the giants just smash through the infantry. It's no problem. Here comes the Demigryph Knights, and normally they would be very good against one giant, but against two giants, not so much. The giants cause immense armor-piercing damage. They get chewed up really fast if they're one-on-one with the Demigryph Knights, but these guys are not one-on-one with the Demigryph Knights. They're three-on-one. And so it's going to leave the giants in very good shape, and the handgunners kick the bucket very quickly. The Demigryph Knights are taking horrendous damage. They're doing good damage, but it's not going to be enough, and then great swords just aren't going to do a whole lot to the giant. They will chip away at it, but it's not going to be a lot. Now, the infantry fight, you can see that the great swords and swords supported by the Archlector are winning the fight against the Chaos Infantry. The Forsaken are going to cause a lot of damage, but you can see the Marauders and the Forsaken a bit shaky, but they're doing some work. There's two more Forsaken units here that haven't even hardly engaged. The Chaos Dragon with the Sorcerer is coming down, chewing into the artillery, quite literally, with two heads. See the giant here hammering away at the Griffites, or yeah, the Griffites. They're not Griffites. The Demigryph Knights. Yeah, three giants up on the Demigryph Knights right there, and then the Fire Sorcerer supporting. See the great swords here getting attacked by two Forsaken. Forsaken are doing okay, but again the Archlector here is very survivable against this kind of infantry fight, and he's going to do a lot of damage and really support the troops quite well. See, he's got special abilities that roll through here. He's got a Grand Soulfire, magic resistance. No magic was incoming at the moment, so I don't know if that was completely necessary. Probably want to save it until the enemy used like Cascading Fire Cloak and then drop it once you see his magic spinning up. It can take quite a bit of micro, but it would certainly help because it gives a lot of magic resistance. You see these gunners came back. They're going to get a couple shots at the big blob of chaos monsters, but those monsters are going to roll on through to the gunners. It is a pretty tight fight because this Archlector is doing so well at keeping the great swords and other units in the fight, and the Bright Wizard, being used by the Empire player, has been used quite a lot. He's gotten Cascading Fire Cloak in several times, which really tremendously boosts the capabilities of your army. Bright Wizard here is going to get absolutely smashed by the giants, so this is certainly not the fight that this little lightweight wants to be in. He's going to need some pretty interesting magic to pull that off. See the Forsaken over here starting to drop to the great swords. The great swords have gotten damaged by the giants, fortunately for them. Bright Wizard getting pooped on by a Chaos Dragon, and the Chaos Dragon right back up in the air. You can see he's using it for charges. This is a pretty good use of the Fire Sorcerer on the Dragon. Like I said, I think he's a little bit lucky that the Empire did not bring a Lord in the air, or else this could have been a very, very, very risky pick, because there's nothing that Chaos could have done to support the Dragon. You would have just watched him lose. The only thing that you could have done is you would want to bring that Dragon down and attack a unit on the ground, and then send the giants in to support it. But if he got caught in the air, he was going to be a goner. Anyway, let's kind of watch this. It's a close fight. You can see the Archlector. I'll get up close, but I'll leave some of the flags up so you can kind of see what the morale's doing. One of the giants is going. It's a pretty tight fight at this point. So there goes one giant. Another one's pretty beat up, but they're getting plenty of hits in, and it's causing a lot of damage. The Archlector routs at a pretty inopportune moment here because of the presence of the Chaos Dragon. He can cause terror and fear, and then combine that with the giants, which also cause terror, and there's a pretty good chance that some of these Empire units are going to go away. But there comes the Flaming Sword of Ruin from the Bright Wizard, who somehow survived getting hammered on by giants. So Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Fire, gets out of there. I haven't seen a lot of support from the Lord of Fire here. In fact, he doesn't have any spells at all. It was just a cheap way for him to get a Lord on a Dragon. Interesting. It's probably questionable, but I guess the three giants were his main pick. Interesting indeed. You can see more spells coming in, Cascading Fire Cloak, but it's just not going to be enough. The Empire Infantry gets dashed to pieces by the giants, even though they're weak. And then the Chaos Lord's able to come chase away all these regrouped units. The handgunners get routed away. They're shattered. Demigryph Knights are routing. The cannon's going to get rerouted. They were just getting back to their equipment, but yeah, that's not going to work. The two-headed dragon is going to be more than enough to get rid of these artillerymen. And at this point, there's just too many units going off the field for the Empire. You can see their Archlector finally came back from routing way back towards the back of the map. So it's too little, too late. The Empire is going to be defeated by Chaos here, which is a pretty nice defeat, or a pretty nice victory for Chaos. 3 giants, though. I don't think a lot of people would expect 3 giants from Chaos. But at the same time, it's kind of an interesting play, right? It's not likely that the Empire player is going to be able to micro well enough to stop all of them from getting through the line, and they got through. They tore up the skirmishers, which is a big piece of a Chaos victory versus a faction like the Empire. So, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. What do you think? 3 giants? Too risky? Overkill? Better ways to counter it? Did he just get lucky because the Empire didn't have a flying lord? What do you think? Just give me your thoughts on this battle. I actually really enjoyed it. I saw some good play from both players, and in the end, obviously, it was a really nice victory for Wowaz, or whatever his name is. It was a nice victory. And again, I know Pokapax to be a good player too, so it wasn't just, like a walkover victory or anything. And I like the combination of the 3 giants. I very much appreciate him sitting in. He seemed to be big on the 6 Forsaken. I never had the best luck with Forsaken, but I hear a lot of people are big on them, so maybe I got it wrong. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there because I thought it was an interesting battle. It was 2 good players. It was an interesting win for a faction that typically doesn't win against the Empire. Obviously, the Empire was probably feeling pretty confident against Chaos. I'm sure there's things the Empire could pick that would give this army a little more grief. But, again, I like it. Tell me what you think. Hey, really appreciate you, my awesome viewer, for watching this. Appreciate those of you who are subscribed, and if you want to subscribe, there is a little logo down in the bottom right-hand corner. Feel free. If you like the content, if you go subscribe there, I'll be able to keep you notified of new content. Feel free to leave your comments. I very much appreciate them, and they help me out because then it helps direct what it is I'm making for you. And for those of you who like the videos and just otherwise support me, some of you even on Patreon and other stuff, thank you. You're amazing. And really appreciate each and every one of you. I'll do my best to keep up with the comments, so tell me what you think. HeirofCarthage signing out for now, and I will see you in the next online battle.